Right. So you should have JFK assassination filled out, or if you've not filled it out, just make sure to do so by the day of the final exam. This assignment is worth 50 points. So that one we've already done. And then secret societies, if you guys click on here, it'll pull up this document that I'm going to be using. And basically these links that I have open here are just links within the secret societies document. So that's where we're going to kind of dive in. Okay. Feel free, as we are kind of going through here, to fill this out. If you'd like to do it after, that's fine too. And ultimately, when we talk about the socially accepted explanation, really is that secret societies do not influence the world in a substantial way. That's kind of the accepted concept. And so the conspiracy theory is, well, actually there's this group called the Freemasons, there's the Illuminati, there's the Rothschild family. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. All right, I kind of bulldozed through. Are there any questions before I dive in with the Freemasons here? Okay, great. Yeah, and I think, yeah, so it looks like, I mean, most of you guys have heard of the Illuminati. And the thing about the Freemasons is their organization actually jokes that if it is actually a secret society, it's very poorly kept because most people know about the Freemasons. But that's where we're going to start. So we're just going to kind of go in chronological order. The Freemasons finds its origin in the Middle Ages. So you can see here that we're going to look at a poem from 1390. And so maybe you guys, one of my favorite movies, even though it's like egregiously inaccurate, is National Treasure. They talk about like the Knights Templar protecting the Holy Grail and all these types of things. Well, that organization ultimately would be the Freemasons. And so the Masonic following would be similar to something that you would see with like the Code of Chivalry among knights, or with something like the Bushido Code with the samurai. And so the Masonic code is really that it starts with a group of stonemasons, and that's where it comes from. And so really, that's why you see the major symbol of the Freemasons are these two tools. Can anyone tell me what these two tools are, or what they're called?
A compass?
Compass is one of them. Very good. So this one draws circles, right? Absolutely.
I think the bottom one is called a square.
Good. Call it square. Very good. And so when you talk about a stonemason, they would be the ones cutting the stones. And so the context of this is you're building castles. You're building small villages or on like a feudal manor. And so this manuscript is in the British Museum. I have seen it before. It's pretty cool. And this is the first historical written document of evidence of the Freemason Society. But just kind of reference it. It's kind of boring. But notice the references that they make. So it says, here begin the constitutions of the art of geometry according to Euclid. And so a couple things. You have Euclidean geometry. So you have a reference to the Greco-Roman period, which is the beginning of reasoning. And then you also have this written in the post-crusading Middle Ages. And so this is sort of the beginning of the Renaissance also. And so a lot of the ideas of the Freemasons comes from the Middle Ages, a lot of like the post-crusading type of ideas. And that's really what the Knights Templar is about, is these crusaders went in to Jerusalem, and they found from the Old Testament, the tabernacle, the Ten Commandments, stone tablets, but then also the Holy Grail, a cup used by Jesus of Nazareth on the Last Supper, as reported in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. And this really is in that context of a society that is protectors of reasoning, of righteousness, and it's kind of in that context. And the reason I make so much of a point to make the context of the Freemasons the Middle Ages is because the Illuminati is the context of the Enlightenment, which comes later. So just a little bit difference there. Any questions, comments you guys want to make so far? I'm going to go over this picture 2. Okay. Any guess what the G stands for?
Guilt.
Guilt? I don't know. I'm not a Mason.
Jesus.
What's that?
Jesus.
Could be. Could be. Some say God. Could be God. Could be geometry, which would be a symbol of reasoning. So like when we talk about Plato, Plato says the only thing that separates man from the animals is the fact that we have these neurons firing and we can reason. We can think about thinking. And so this is kind of talking about that. Now, the information I know is a little bit from talking to Mr. Lee and then my other friend who is a Freemason. And think of it as, okay, so when you guys go to college, what degree would you be earning if you go to college next year? What degree would you be working on?
Like architecture?
Not necessarily the subject, but what would you call
A
like
bachelor's.
not a master's, but an
A bachelor's.
right? Yeah. So you are working on an undergraduate degree. And then as Nura said with a master's, the next step after undergrad would be master's and then doctorates and then postdoctorates. But after postdoctorates, that's about it. The steps are done. And truly, a degree is Latin for step. And so basically when someone says that they're a 31 degree Mason, that means that they have 31 steps from a beginning apprentice entered Mason. And notice the language here too. We're talking about the context of Freemasons. You start out as an apprentice, okay? You are learning the craft. And then a fellow is the step up from an apprentice. So you're moving more towards mastery. And then master Mason is after you have had 3 degrees. You are 3 steps removed from a non-Mason. And basically how it works in Freemasonry is once you have those 3 degrees, the apprentice Blue Lodge, the fellow craft, and then you are a master Mason, at that point, it's kind of like a buffet of all the different other things that you can become a part of. So my friend, for example, he's black. And so he has the 3 degrees. So he's a master Mason. And then there's a specific Masonry lodge that's really like a subset of the black community. And so that may be a different master Mason, like post-master Mason step that he might take than say like Mr. Lee as a Mason. Questions on that?
Well, the hierarchy is cool, but what's the point? Why would you work so hard to become whatever level of Mason? What do you get to do?
So two things. One is fellowship, which is the main idea. It's fraternity. The other is knowledge and understanding. And so the idea is that the 31st degree Mason has understood and almost like he has gotten his degree, his master's in each of these understandings. So like the degree of the Prince of Jerusalem would have different information than would Knights of East and West. So it's kind of like knowledge seeking, but also there's like different handshakes and things like that. So I think from like a community standpoint, you know, it's like when people have a USC degree, you know, they're like, oh, you went to USC, I went to USC, I'm going to give you a job. And it's kind of, can kind of work that way. That's a good question. I mean, what is the point kind of going through all this? Good. Questions? Comments? Okay. Now, if you notice, there's this like York, right? So more of the British foundation here, and then more of the Scottish foundation, and the American uses more of the Scottish foundation. Now, here's a question for you. Can women become a Freemason? Got 50-50 chance.
I'm going to go with no, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't have asked if they could.
Well done. Well done. You're definitely one of my students. Very good. Yeah, so it's females cannot join the Freemasons.
This year, all these years, if they couldn't?
What's that? They cannot.
Never mind.
That's okay. Yeah, so they cannot. So females cannot become Freemasons but they can become Eastern stars. And so essentially an Eastern star, so like let's say Simone wants to like become a part of this masonry. She first of all has to know someone who's a Freemason or an Eastern star, and then she would go through a similar type of apprenticeship craft and then master, and then she could only become a part of the Order of the Eastern Star. So like, I would love to become a Mason. I would love to figure out like maybe some secrets, so to speak, but the fact that you have men and women separated, there's no way to know if the secrets are the same, so I'm out. But again, context of the Middle Ages, you know, it's that weird dichotomy of women where you have the Virgin Mary who's revered, but also women are sinful and bad. And it's weird. So, but that's why women can't join, is because of the context of the Middle Ages, you know, women were not allowed. Okay, good. Questions on that? Good stuff. Okay. Now, real quick, let me, I'm going to have to reshare just so I can make sure that you can hear my sound. We're not going to watch all of this video, but I just want to give you guys an idea of these, and you can, you know, you can watch the rest of it on your own time if you'd like. Okay. So, just make sure. It's playing. Okay. So this is from CBS. We're just going to watch the first like 3 minutes.
Secret society.
Can you guys?
Rich with symbols and ritual, it's a source of legends,
Yes.
Okay, you can hear the nerdy guy talking. Okay, great.
parodies,
Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the metric system down? We do.
and conspiracy theories.
Because so much organized crime uses the Masonic secret system and the good old boy network to be able to get away with murder. And I mean murder.
Welcome to the world of Freemasonry. True or false, the Masons are a secret society.
No, that's false.
UCLA history professor Margaret Jacob is one of the world's leading experts on Freemasonry. True or false, Freemasonry is a religion.
No, it's false.
True or false, Masons were behind the American Revolution.
False. False.
Okay, but what about on the dollar bill? The eye
yeah,
and the
the
pyramid?
eye, yeah.
I mean, that's Masonic, right?
No, everybody says it's Masonic. In fact, it's a commonplace in the 18th century, that particular set of symbols.
True. Freemasons laid the cornerstone of America. Well, at least some of its most iconic structures. So what is Freemasonry? Simply put, it's the world's oldest and largest fraternity. Its membership a who's who of world history. George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, Mozart, Davy Crockett, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Houdini, Gerald Ford, Henry Ford, John Wayne, even Colonel Sanders.
What a group.
If you want to be a Mason, you can petition a local lodge for membership. You'll need to demonstrate good character and belief in some sort of supreme being. Oh, and in almost all lodges, it's men only. Next, you're up for a vote, says New York State Grand Master James Sullivan.
The lodge votes to accept you, and then you have the 3 degrees that you go through.
Once you earn the 3rd degree, and yes, that's where the phrase comes from, you can join any number of Masonic offshoots. Take Brent Morris. He's a 33rd degree Mason and a historian at the House of the Temple for the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite of the Southern Jurisdiction. You know, it's that big building in Washington, D.C. This isn't like the Masonic Vatican, but it's an important building.
It's an important building. Absolutely right. It's one branch of Freemasonry in the United States, and that's our headquarters building.
Inside, the Temple Lodge room is a stunner. And downstairs, there's this.
This is the flag that Buzz Aldrin took to the moon with him.
This flag, Supreme Council 33 Southern Jurisdiction, went to the moon. Wow. Now, if tiny hats and small cars are your thing, then there are the party animals of Freemasonry, the Shriners. You may know them better for their 22 children's hospitals, where patients don't have to pay.
Okay, well, I mean, you get the point. Don't worry about the Shriners too much. But basically what we're looking at is this concept of a fraternity, and it does have its origins in the Middle Ages. its role in the American Revolution, as mentioned in the video, is somewhat dubious. However, many of the founding fathers were Freemasons. But I think when you look at like the Freemason impact on the American Revolution, I mean, truly, it's just you have this network of the stakeholders, the people within those British colonies that made the policy decisions. And so that, in a way, you could say is like the people knew each other that were making the decisions and could almost unanimously, do something like the American Revolution, but, kind of dubious on that. Questions on the Masons?
Right, so it doesn't seem like they're secretive if you're able to get into their headquarters.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing is the society itself is not secretive. The information within the society is well kept. But you're right. And that's the thing is like when you say secret society, I mean, what are we really talking about? This is a legit organization that does exist. However, the information that they perpetuate, I mean, I don't really want to compare, Freemasonry to Scientology, but it's kind of got those levels of information that's doled out to you. But yeah, it's not really secret. Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. So let's do the Illuminati here. And so when I think of the Illuminati, I think of like Jay-Z. I don't know about you guys, but just like he always does, and Eminem does this too, but like the like triangle, like eye thing. And let's actually take a look at that real quick. So I put some symbols, and the historian from UCLA talked about how the seeing eye really is a very commonplace symbol of the time. But it says though, conspiracy theorists, the all-seeing eye represents the eye of Lucifer, the eye that can see all and oversees its minions, which are represented by the individual bricks in the pyramid. 13 steps of the pyramid represents 13 Illuminati bloodlines, which collectively rule over the planet. The year 1776 represents the founding of the Bavarian Illuminati by Adam Weishaupt. I don't know, but the conspiracy theorists connect is so the seeing eye favors prosperity of the United States. 13-step pyramid represents 13 original states. 1776 birth of the United States. Maybe on that one. The all-seeing eye though is something seen a lot, and then even like the idea of the pyramid is a big concept here. Talk about obelisks, but again, these are just very common at the time. And then even like the monarch butterfly is said to be like some mind control type of thing. So maybe some of you looking at this monarch butterfly are going crazy in your houses because you've been activated by the Illuminati. So I don't know. Be safe out there. But with the actual creation. Yeah, go ahead.
None of those look anything like monarch butterflies.
I agree. I know. That's the fun thing about this too is, there's hints of truth and there's hints of just this is totally bogus, far out there. And that's ultimately what conspiracy theories are, is when you add up the bogus theories and then the ones that are actually true, it kind of creates this gray area where it's like, okay, well, but they did do this, so could they be capable of something else? And yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing here. People are not satisfied with the explanation that they are giving. Think of JFK. It's not good enough that some random 24-year-old with Russian ties shot the president. They found him minutes after he was shot. Some people, that's not good enough. That's not a good enough explanation. So, okay. So it says, I'm just going to read here from National Geographic. The Order of the Illuminati was an Enlightenment age secret society founded by university professor Adam Weishaupt on 1st of May, 1776 in Upper Bavaria, so just modern day Germany. So it says it actually recruited and stems from German Masonic lodges. So the Illuminati is similar in the fact that it's a fraternity like the Freemasons, but the Illuminati was meant to be like this idea of, okay, so you have these philosophies in French salons talking about Enlightenment ideas. Well, this is taking it really kind of radical and really the idea of how can we overthrow the monarchy, specifically in Germany. And so we're talking about the Holy Roman Empire, and basically the Illuminati in the Enlightenment in Germany is birthed out of Freemasonry and is used as a way to keep secrets about how to overthrow the monarchy and the state religion, which I believe was Catholic. Yes. So this truly is a secret society. I mean, the secrets themselves may not be actually secret today, but ultimately this was made during, I mean, when you look at 1776, and so the conspiracies are that ultimately this information that was used by the Illuminati was shared with Americans who used it in our revolution, and then with the French that ultimately used it specifically under the Reign of Terror with the radical ideas to bring down the monarchy. So anti-Catholic, anti-establishment. And so when you think of someone like Robespierre that wanted to create, you know, this supreme state of being, we're not Catholic anymore. We are going to have our own state religion. This is exactly what the Illuminati is talking about. So there isn't necessarily evidence that Robespierre was a member of the Illuminati, but a lot of the secrets that they would have had are things that look like Robespierre would have been able to put together. So I think the historical context to take from it is that basically you think about the perspective of a monarch. Okay, so you're the king of Germany, and ultimately you want to make sure that you preserve your power, and you hear about these people who are trying to overthrow you. Well, you're just going to kind of suppress that type of idea. I don't know if it's malicious. I don't know if it's like a negative type of conspiracy with the secret information. But when we talk about the age of revolutions, the Illuminati is like at the crux of that, because it's ultimately the Illuminati is, let's create a secret society to overthrow the monarchy, which is exactly the type of thing John Locke and Thomas Hobbes were talking about. Questions on that? One thing I do want to mention with the Illuminati too is one thing you guys may have heard of is the Skull and Bones Society. The Skull and Bones, both the Bushes are a part of Skull and Bones. It's a secret type of fraternity at Yale University. And Skull and Bones is similar to Freemasonry, similar to Illuminati, where it's this society of, I should say, non-secret society with secret information. And the Skull and Bones is basically like the greatest job connection you could ever have, because it's, you know, I mean, two Bushes became president in part because of the Skull and Bones. At least that's what some people say. So people in the Skull and Bones be people in Congress, people who are billionaires, people who have money, people who would prefer someone they know in their fraternity to be president, and then they can get jobs from someone that's in the fraternity. Like I said with USC, it'd be like if everyone at USC made sure that they could get a USC grad in the presidency, that they could have a lot of control over things. The whole like New World Order thing, yeah, I don't know how much about that, but cool. And then I know the Illuminati is definitely a big part of like Angels and Demons. If you guys have read that book by Dan Brown. Cool. So let's actually look at this video here. Again, we're not going to watch the whole thing. It's Bored Panda, so, you know, don't take it super seriously. But okay, let's watch a little bit of this. Any questions on Illuminati before I dive in?
Could I ask a question?
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In many of the mystery books that I read,
yeah,
like Dan Brown's books, for example, the Illuminati become figures that are hostile. I mean, that are a whole bunch of smartest people in the world who control the world.
Right.
Is that just a fiction, or is that a semi-fact?
I think to some degree that has to be true, just because at like the very highest level stratified in society, I feel like there's some level of, I guess, camaraderie, for lack of a better word. I don't think there's some like vast network. I don't. Maybe that's naive, but Elaine, I think you bring up a good point. I think in some regard, I think Dan Brown is it's hyperbole, but at the same point, I think there's still some degree of truth in this idea that kind of the most powerful people are kind of calling the shots in some degree. And we'll get there with the Rothschilds too.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question.
Yeah, please.
I was just telling her it was a good question.
Oh, good. Very nice. Good to suck up. Okay, good. So here we go. So I know it's Board Panda, but bear with me. Even below.
The French Revolution, 9/11, and Beyonce.
What a
What's the connection between them? The Illuminati. The occult and super powerful secret organization that controls the way the world spins. They are supposed to be very secret. So secret, in fact, that if you Googled them, not only would you find their official website, but you could also join them. You could even buy some.
So real quick, let's put, okay, so I'm sorry, just because I'm such a bad speller here. Okay, so if we put in Illuminati backwards, let's see what happens here. Okay, whoops. Wow, this is becoming more difficult than I thought it would be. I don't know why it's showing. Okay, let's see. This one. Yeah, let me get a new window here. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so here's the word. Okay, so ITAN IMULLI. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at the top results. The National Security Agency. Coincidence? I think not. Okay. All right, good talk. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, let's look at the Freemason video, or the Illuminati video. That was like a super dad joke moment. Thank you for indulging me.
The French Revolution, 9/11, and Beyonce.
Yeah,
What's the connection? If you Googled them, not only would you find their official website, but you could also join them. You could even buy some Illuminati merch. It doesn't appear to be the secret organization most of us believe them to be. Or this must be fake. Because if the Illuminati was a secret organization, the first rule of this organization would be not to talk about the Illuminati. But do the Illuminati really exist? The short answer is yes. They did historically exist, and there are many people who believe that they have survived to this day. But to see the whole picture, we will have to go several hundred years back to the beginning and see all that has happened since. So before we dive deeper into the rabbit hole, press that subscribe button and let's get started. 1776 is celebrated as the year when the USA began its nationhood. 1776 is also when German professor of law Adam Weishaupt created a secret organization called the Order of Illuminati in Bavaria, Germany. Weishaupt was influenced by the ideas of the Enlightenment, which meant that he believed in reason and individualism over superstition and prejudice. He wanted to pursue his ideals and therefore decided to join the Freemasons, a secret organization devoted to moral and societal reform. Imagine a book readers club, but for the rich and powerful. Yet, Weishaupt was not able to afford the admission fee and was refused admission. But this was not the end of his history with the Freemasons. He chose 5 of his best students, and in May of 1776, he arranged the first meeting of the Perfectibilists, which soon was rebranded to the Order of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
The word Illuminati came from a Latin illuminatus, which means enlightened. Weishaupt wanted his members to be from a rich background, talented, and under 30, while Jews, pagans, women, and members of other secret societies were specifically excluded. Contrary to popular belief, their logo was not the iconic Eye of Prominence, but the Owl of Minerva, the mythological creature which accompanies the goddess of wisdom. All of them operated under cryptic nicknames. Weishaupt chose to be Spartacus. In less than 10 years, the group grew significantly, reaching over 2,000 members and including members from Italy, Poland, and Hungary. Naturally, an organization of this size attracted attention. Therefore, in 1785, the order was disintegrated by newly elected ruler Charles Theodore and his government agents. They feared that the rising power of the order could eventually overthrow the conservative Bavarian monarchy. After the group was disbanded, Weishaupt had to flee his hometown and abandon his mission. He died in 1830, and the original Order of the Illuminati disappeared from the face of the earth. Or did it?
Okay, you can watch the rest of that. That's just just for me, but just kind of giving you the idea, because really with the conspiracy theories, I mean, with at least with the secret societies, I have other stuff for like our 9/11 and things like that, but at least for things like the Illuminati, I really want to make a point to emphasize the historical context of this, and really when you get to the more insane stuff. So like you can see, like this, I just like found some songs, just like talking about the Illuminati, right? But I mean, a lot of this is, well, it has to rhyme, so I'm gonna mention the Illuminati. But the whole concept of like you sell your soul to the devil, and then you become super successful, or New World Order. Maybe not, but yeah. So that's the Illuminati. Any questions on them, or going back to the Freemasons? Okay, I have one more to highlight. We're almost done, and then I'll send you guys off. So the other one that we look at is the Rothschilds family, and really. This family is within the context of the British Empire. So again, like I said, we're just kind of going in chronological order. This article is great. I wanted to post the whole thing in case you guys were interested. I just want to highlight a couple of points here. Ultimately, couple of things. We talk about the idea that a family could rule the world is the idea that this family controls the money. And so, I don't know, if for those of you that watch like Game of Thrones, you think of the concept of the Iron Bank. And ultimately, they control everything because they control the funding to all of these different things. So if you talk about like, okay, so like the Rothschild family supposedly is the one that gave money to the countries fighting Napoleon. And without their financial blessing, Napoleon never would have been defeated. The monarchies would have never been restored after the Congress of Vienna. And that's kind of the context. So a couple things to kind of build up this conspiracy theory. In my opinion, this may hold the most truth because of the value that finances have in the 21st century world. Any comments?
Really quickly, she just left and she's coming back. She lost volume.
Okay.
So just so you know.
Sounds good. Thanks, Duncan. So that's it. Yeah, go ahead. 3 allegations. Concerns that this might be true, that there is a family that is so wealthy that truly they are backing major decisions. And you could take this to like the current coronavirus handling. So it says there are only 3 countries in the world without a Rothschild-owned central bank: Cuba, North Korea, and Iran. Every other country, all other 188 members of the UN have a Rothschild-owned bank. And these banks are things like Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Japan Post Bank, Barclays, JP Morgan. All of these banks are really owned by one family, and that's the Rothschild family. So that's a concern. One example that hits close to home is the U.S. Federal Reserve is owned by the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Morgans. So 3 different individuals that own banks so big that they are actually the central bank of the United States. So there you go. And so the idea, the conspiracy theory, is that the Rothschilds control the world because they have supported one side or the other in every war since Napoleon. And so that's kind of the idea. Questions on that conspiracy theory? This article is great. As I mentioned, one quote I do want to emphasize. This is kind of the foundation of this. There isn't necessarily like a direct like who said this type of thing, but the concept rings true to the idea here. So it says, I care not, so head of the Rothschild family, I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls the Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the money supply. And so to kind of step away from the Rothschilds for just a second, if you guys are familiar with how the World Bank works or the International Monetary Fund, so let's say that you're the Prime Minister of Kenya, and Kenya needs to build dams and hospitals, and they can't afford it on their own. So they're going to go to the World Bank, and the World Bank is going to say, okay, Kenya, we'll give you a loan, and it's going to have a really high interest rate that truly we know you cannot pay back. And so the World Bank gives the loan, Kenya builds hospitals, Kenya builds dams, and then for the next 100 years, Kenya is in debt to the World Bank. So in effect, the World Bank has great say with what they're able to do. One more example. My grandmother, when I was growing up, would sometimes give me money, but she always said that I had to come over and have dinner with her, which I think is a pretty fair exchange. But the idea is that because my grandmother is the one giving the money and I am at the mercy of my grandmother receiving the money, if she says I need to go over to dinner to get the money, I'm going to do it. And so this is the same idea, is that every war, either side, has been funded by the Rothschilds for their own financial benefit. So, I don't know, pretty wild, pretty wild. Okay. Makes me giddy. Okay. Then this last thing, just to show this video, and then we'll end it here, guys. So real quick before I show this video, with the discussion document. Okay. So this is what you guys are doing now. Again, you don't have to do this right now. You could do it later if you want. But just so I can give you a little bit of guidance. And there we go. Okay, so the socially accepted explanation, secret societies do not influence the world in a substantial way. Freemasons may be a secret society, but they don't really do much. Illuminati, Rothschild, that's the socially accepted position. And so basically this actually, looking at it, should be the answer here in the box. And so feel free to put that, verbatim for this as well. Secret societies do not influence the world in any substantial way. So that's the accepted explanation. And then here, you would tell me what you think. Do you think that that's true, that is false? And then it says identify the conspiracy theory or conspiracy theories. Now, you can do all of these. You can pick and choose. So one is Freemasons have influence on world decisions. We could say Illuminati have influence. Okay. Have influence. Okay. Oops. on world decisions. Okay, and then the last one is the Rothschilds have influence on world decisions. Okay, so if I'm writing this, just my personal Mr. Bullman opinions, okay, I'm going to take a position on the Rothschilds. More because, in my opinion, that's the most plausible. Freemasons make sense as a fraternity in the Middle Ages. Illuminati makes sense as a fraternity in the Enlightenment. But I don't know if their influence is still felt to this day. So I would say maybe the Rothschilds do rule the world, and as a plausibility, I mean, I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10, and that's really what I think is that there's a 7 out of 10. Pretty plausible that the Rothschilds are funding different sides here. So that's kind of what you would fill out for here. I don't really want you spending more than 15 minutes on this. This is really just because I was told by Miss Voss I have to give you something, and so there you go. Okay. All right, guys. So let's watch this real quick, and then we'll call it a day. Are there any questions on schedule, expectations, comments on any of our stuff? Very good. Very good. Okay. And again, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but just to give you an idea, here
Give me control of a nation's wealth, and I care not who makes the laws. This famous quotation on the seemingly one-sided relationship between banking institutions and governments is attributed to Mayer Amschel Boer Rothschild, the founder of the most notorious financial family in the world. The apparent lack of concern for democracy has led to the Rothschilds being accused of everything, from orchestrating assassinations to enabling genocide, all in the name of profit. But can one family of financiers really wield that much power today? Can the Rothschilds truly rule the world? The Rothschild family's net worth is estimated to be as high as $400 billion. But because this is spread throughout their many holdings, they never appear on rich lists. As a result, they have largely remained out of the spotlight and have become prime targets for conspiracy theorists. The story of the Rothschild's supposed bid for power originates in 19th century England. In 1815, Nathan Rothschild, the son of the founder Mayer Rothschild, is alleged to have seized control of the Bank of England. He did this by causing market panic in the immediate aftermath of the Battle of Waterloo, and by buying the bonds that panicked people dumped. This move made Nathan the single largest creditor to the British government, effectively handing control of currency regulation and the Bank of England to a single family. If control of the money really does equate to control of the nation, that would make the Rothschild family overlords of the largest empire the world has ever known. But since then, the British Empire has crumbled, and even the Bank of England itself was nationalised in 1946. So what power, if any, does the family still wield? Well, the Bank of England is far from the only national bank to have been influenced by the Rothschilds. According to the controversial theorist Andrew Hitchcock, the Rothschilds were at the forefront of every attempt in the United States to gain control of the national economy. In 1832, Andrew Jackson ran for a second term on the basis of regaining control of the economy from the Second Bank of America, which is under Rothschild control. Upon his election victory, Jackson began to make good on his promise, removing state deposits from the Second Bank of America and refusing to renew its charter. What followed, according to Hitchcock, was a high-stakes game, with the Rothschilds causing a depression and ordering a failed assassination attempt on Jackson.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually leave it at that because Jackson is actually the first American president to have an assassination attempt on their life. And what do you know? He tried to shut down the bank, and the Rothschild family did not like that. And that's really just like one example of the impact that a financial family like this could have. And in the days of, who knows how many years away we are from the first world trillionaire, this, in my opinion, is really just not out of the realm of possibility of being true. So how secret is it? I'm not sure, but I feel I have a decent understanding of global politics and, finances, the use of finances to influence decisions. I mean, that's the crux of macroeconomics, is looking at what incentivizes people to do things. So very good, guys. That's basically all I have for us. Let me just pull up the spring calendar real quick here. But ultimately, just make sure you are filling out that discussion doc. And other than that, guys, if you want to stay on with questions or anything like that, that's great. Otherwise, we will, let's see, we'll be doing the Monday off. Enjoy the time off. And we'll do UFOs and aliens on Wednesday when we come back. So good to see you guys. Hope you guys are doing okay. If you need anything, just let me know. And I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Elaine, anytime. Feel free to come Wednesday, and the rest of the days we're going.
I intend to.
Okay, good.
As much as possible. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I was just waiting for her to get off, make sure she knew how.
You're fine. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yep.